Welcome to LatiNation, celebrating your generation from coast to coast. I'm your host, Humberto Guida. When I moved out to the West Coast several years ago, I noticed most cities had streets named after Cesar Chavez. I knew little about the man other than he had fought for farmers and immigrants' rights. But the more I learned about the civil rights movement that he led, the greater respect I had for the humanitarian who was a real American hero. But I also began to wonder why Hollywood hasn't shared his story when he made such a difference in this country for so many. Well, Diego Luna wondered the same thing, and he went out and made a film based on the man and his journey, starring Michael Pena and America Ferrera. Up next, we take a look at the film titled simply Cesar Chavez. Check it out.
The day you came into this world, I received the clarity that I so desperately needed.
This is an attempt to remind everyone that this man and the struggle behind the movement is part of who we are.
Diego could have chosen to make any movie, but he chose this film, and it was a hard movie to get made. I mean, Cesar Chavez is not necessarily the big, creating a bidding war because it's an historical biopic about Mexican-American farmers, but Diego saw the universality in the story and the fight for social justice. And really what Diego set out to do was tell a story about the man.
And I hope that one day you can be as proud of me as I am of you.
We haven't celebrated enough this man and everyone behind this movement, and we're still in good time. And there's also a very important thing. We need stories that can inspire us to bring change and to make sure we remind ourselves that there's still a lot that needs to be done and that we have to get involved.
Interesting day you choose to be late.
I come here out of respect for one of the heroic figures of our time, Cesar Chavez.
Diego led us with his heart and with his complete devotion, and I think that's infectious, and I think that definitely permeated throughout the whole crew, and everybody felt like we were part of something very important and a story that mattered and that was important to tell.
I was born in Yuma, Arizona, in a ranch owned by my family, but we lost it in the Depression. That's where I witnessed the injustice suffered by the people.
I knew of Cesar Chavez growing up, but I had no idea who Helen was. So when Diego approached me about playing Helen, I thought, who is that? And he's like, the wife. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be the wife, and she's gonna stand by and cheer her man on. And I thought that was really boring. And he said, no, I promise. I've learned so many wonderful things about who she was and her involvement through her children and talking to the family that it was really important to Diego to portray that.
Mrs. Chavez, we have a court order that forbids you from saying the word huelga.
Huelga! Huelga!
This is your first warning, Mrs. Chavez.
For me, there's a lot that I held while playing her, but I think the essential thing was her conflict between her role as a mother and the protector of her household and her role as an activist and her belief in this cause. Those two things were often in conflict.
I failed you as a leader, and I will fast until everyone makes a pledge recommitting themselves to nonviolence.
Does he know what he's doing to you?
No, he doesn't.
I think this is a universal film. I witnessed it in Berlin. We were at the Berlin Film Festival and we had our screening, and there was 1,600 people, and they were all Germans, and they ended up clapping, standing up, and when Dolores Huerta came to the stage, the energy there was amazing.
Just, on behalf of my mother, Helen, and my brothers and sisters, I want to thank Diego and the cast for ensuring that my father's story is passed on to new generations of people.
We have to keep working. We still have a lot of work to do. Cesar Chavez!
And they were connected with the journey of farm workers. I think film has no nationality. The whole idea is to be able to send a message. And that message is that our stories need to be on the screen, that we as a community want to be celebrated in film.
Who the hell is this Cesar Chavez?